Hello, Shy Guitar people. Today I am going to be telling you the story of why I shaved my head. I was a Buddhist nun for 5 days, and shaving my head is something that I've always wanted to do, but I've never really had the chance to do it. And recently I decided to shave my head for my religion, which is... No! No! I am filming! Oh my god, this is so awkward. I'm talking to a camera when there's people around. So anyway, being a Buddhist nun was something that I really wanted to do, but I've never really gotten the chance to. My life just wasn't really on track. When I'm talking about Buddhism and becoming Buddhist nuns and monks, I'm talking about strictly Thailand only, because that is the only country that I have ever experienced Buddhism in. I don't know about other countries. I know other Asian countries have Buddhism as their main religion as well, but I feel like it's kind of like Christianity, where there are many different branches, and so there are many... I can't talk. There are many different branches, and so there's going to be many beliefs. So, when I was growing up in America, I was raised Christian. My grandma would always take me to church, but I felt like Christianity just did not make sense to me. Everything that they were saying, it just didn't make sense to me, and I felt like going to church was really boring. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that there are a lot of people who are Christian out there. I am in no way, shape, or form shaming you for being a Christian person and for believing in Christianity. I'm just saying that when I experienced it, I felt like it just did not work for me. And so I moved to Thailand, and at that time I was just very confused in terms of religion. I didn't know what I wanted to believe, and as I grew older, I felt like I picked up on energy, and I picked up on different senses. I could sense whether I would get along with a person based on their energy, and I could tell how a person was by in the first few seconds of meeting them. And I can also tell when bad things are going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I can feel it and I know it's coming soon. And so I was kind of spiritual for a while. I didn't really have a religion, and then I started to learn about Buddhism, and I felt like it was just very logical to me, and it just made sense. And so I decided that I was going to be a Buddhist woman. So what led me to become a Buddhist nun was I had this dream, and it was a dream about this woman. I had never seen her before, but her face was just very kind of torn up, and I felt like she came to me because she wanted to scare me. But what Buddhism teaches you is that if you don't lose your head, if you keep a clear mind, then you'll be able to solve anything. If you try hard enough, just keep a clear mind and you'll be good. And so I felt like I didn't panic. I kind of knew that she really couldn't do anything to hurt me. And I don't know how I knew this, but I just knew. I just kind of felt like she didn't want to hurt me. She just wanted to scare me a little bit. And she was kind of looking at my face, kind of doing big eyes and stuff. And her face was just very torn up, her face had gone through something. But I felt like I wasn't exactly scared. I was a little shaken up, but I wasn't exactly I wasn't horrified. And so the next day, our teacher told us you guys are being really loud and very disruptive, so I want you to meditate for 5 minutes. And this is very common in Thailand. Like, teachers sometimes do this. They make you just sit there and close your eyes. And the minute I closed my eyes, like this was the day right after the dream, and this was still in the morning, so I guess it was pretty fresh. And so I closed my eyes, and the minute I did, she came to me again. But this time she was like, I can't really remember her features. I can kind of remember her hair. She had kind of like this golden brown hair, but I can't really remember her face. Like, it was just very foggy. I could see the shape of a woman. I couldn't really see all of her features, but I just knew that it was her. And she didn't open her mouth, but I could hear everything that she was saying. It was like she was using her energy to talk to me. And so she told me that she was somebody from a past life. And she was speaking in Thai, so I guess she was Thai. Maybe that's why I have such ties with Thailand, and why I have a Thai boyfriend, and why I live in Thailand. Like, I feel like maybe that's part of the reason why I am in Thailand in this life. Maybe in a past life I met her, and that's what she told me. She told me that she was somebody from a past life, and that she was like my relative or something. And as she spoke, like, there were flashes in my mind. Like, it was kind of like a very fast storybook, or like a very fast kind of movie. And she told me that she was a relative from a past life, and that before she died, I was in a car with her, and I was going somewhere, I don't know where, but I could, like, in my mind's eye, I could see that it was nighttime. It was like she was telling me and she was showing me at the same time. And she told me that we were going somewhere, I don't know where, but she said we were going somewhere, and we crashed. And I don't know what we crashed into, but we got into some kind of accident. And she told me that instead of helping her, that I left her there, and then she died. And so that day I was like, okay, so when I have time, I'm going to go to the monastery, and I am going to, give offerings to the monks. I decided in my mind that I was going to become a Buddhist nun when it was my second semester of my 3rd year of college. So I came home, and the workload was like a lot. I usually do wedding gifts since my stepfamily owns a wedding business. And so I was just doing a lot of wedding gifts, and I kind of like, I prayed to her, and I told her that, like, I asked her, can it wait, because my grandma has just a lot of work to do, and I really want to help her. And I told her that I would definitely become a Buddhist nun temporarily for her, but I pleaded, like, can it just please not be right now? And a couple days later, like, so I have epilepsy. If you're subscribed to me, you would know that. And I just felt very, very weak all day. My head was spinning. I felt I couldn't eat. I felt very nauseous. I don't know what was going on. And later that day, I felt like I had ringing in my ears, which is what happens before I have a seizure. And so I was just very, very scared that I was going to have another seizure. And somehow I just knew that it was her. Now, Buddhist nuns don't necessarily have to shave their heads. Like, they can keep their hair, it doesn't matter. It's not the same as when a man becomes a monk. Men become monks, like, a lot of the time. It's very, very common. So it's just very easy for them to find a monastery to become a monk at. But for women, it is not as easy, because Buddhist nuns are not unheard of, but they also aren't very common. Like there were two girls who were Buddhist nuns with me, but they didn't shave their head. They kept their hair, which is fine, you know. And so there were religious rules that we had to follow. If I can find a picture, I'll like put it over my face so that you can see what Buddhist nuns in Thailand look like. There were some religious rules that we all had to follow. These aren't in order, but I'm going to state them as I remember them. So the first one was that you cannot lie. You cannot gossip behind anybody's back. No like gossiping or blowing anything out of proportion. That was one of the rules. The second one was that you had to remain pure. So basically no lustful thoughts or touches, because it is considered a sin. Another rule was that you could not eat any solid foods after noon. Like you could eat anything you wanted up until noon. Like you could eat breakfast to lunch, but then after noon, like 12:00, you could only drink liquids. You can add ice to your beverage to make it colder, but you cannot chew ice because that would make it solid, and that is against the rules. No stealing, so you could not take anything that was not yours because stealing is bad and it is a sin. You could not kill any kind of animal, which was very, very scary because in the shower rooms, I kid you not, on four corners of the room, there were spiders like this big, and they were just hanging there. I was so scared every time I took a shower, but I could not do anything to it. I couldn't do anything to them because what if they died? Then I would be committing a sin. So I just had to shower like that and kind of like it was just very scary. I don't like bugs, but I couldn't do anything. What else was there? Oh yeah, you cannot touch or come in contact with any men. You cannot be close to them. It's the same with monks. Like for a monk, if a woman is to give you a certain kind of offering, the woman has to place it on the orange cloth that the monk wears, and only when she takes her hand off can he come in contact with it. It's the same for nuns. Like if a boy or a man is to give you something, they have to place it, take their hand off of it, and only when their hand is off of it can you take it. You cannot be close to them. You cannot come in contact with them. It is just another form of remaining pure. I was with two other girls, right? And we had to get up. Usually you get up early in the morning and you say your morning prayers, but in this particular monastery they never really did that. Buddhist monks, they go out and they walk, and people give them offerings as they walk, and those offerings are the things that they eat at 9:30. In this particular monastery, monks only ate one meal, so it was only at 9:30, and so what they got from their walks was what everybody else got to eat, but the monks got to eat first, and then after they ate, they said a prayer, and after that prayer, once they got up, the nuns got to go and pick out what they wanted to eat. And then after that, there are men and boys who are not monks, but they are studying to become monks. And so after the nuns got to pick what they wanted to eat, then those boys got to pick what they eat last. And after that, there wasn't really much else to do. Sometimes we would sweep the floors in some buildings or in some like little prayer areas. Most of the time we just slept though, because the person who was in charge of everything told us that nuns were not to leave their sleeping quarters very often. If you wanted to take a shower, then we all three of us had to go. If we wanted to use the bathroom, all three of us or two of us had to go. Nobody was allowed to go out alone. And he also said that we should not be out of our sleeping quarters like at night, because it just wasn't very proper. And then around like 5-ish, we had to go and say our evening prayers. And after we said our evening prayers, then we were free to do whatever we'd like. We could sleep and we could like read some books. Like in the room where we slept, there were just a lot of books about Buddhism. There were like prayer books. There were books about people like Gandhi and Mother Teresa. And other than sweeping and saying our prayers, we didn't really do much else. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you liked this video. Please give it a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you would like more videos about me or more covers and music videos. I have 2 new covers coming. Both are by Panic at the Disco. And comment down below if like what you thought. And I will see you next week with one of my covers. Bye guys, rock on.
Shut up and sit down.